Got Ben Turney up next. Let me see if Ben, hello. Can you hear me?
Oh, hi, Mark. Sorry, just sending someone a message. Yes. Hi.
No, no worries. Just a few minutes early, but it's all good. How are you? Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, very good. So you caught me on the hop there a bit. Let me just get rid of
No,
that.
sorry. That's all right. It's all right.
Hi.
It's all right. It's good. Yeah, great to be speaking to you again. It's been a bit of a while. How are things going in Zim?
Fantastic. They really couldn't be going any better. We've hit the ground sprinting this year. We obviously raised quite a lot of money at the tail end of last year, which we closed in January. We had 5 rigs operational in the field for the first 3 months of this year. So much so that we completely swamped the laboratories in Zim, which we're now using. And we're just now getting results coming through. We put our first set of results out a couple of weeks ago from Prospect 3. Of course, we raised the money from the pension fund as well, the Zim pension fund that's put $5 million into us, Comerton. So that's been a significant step for the company. And we're now very much looking forward to releasing next sets of results and moving towards mining.
Excellent. Good. And I believe are you there right now?
No, I'm actually in Sweden at the moment. I've come over to see my kids very quickly, and I'm heading back to Zim tomorrow night.
Tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
okay,
tomorrow.
Okay, good. So, what are things like on the ground in Zimbabwe then for the gold sector? I mean, are people talking about gold? Is gold a hot topic?
Oh, of course. I mean, gold over $3,000 an ounce is hugely meaningful for the local economy. You've got so many people, one way or another, are involved in mining, and of course, the price rise has been pure margin for everybody. So, it's been very good. The wider Zim economy is struggling. I mean, it's things down there are pretty tough at the moment, but the overall the gold sector is looking great.
Good to hear. So let's talk about Hillside then. So earlier this month you announced that Prospect 3 has the potential for near-term shallow open pit, I should say, mining, followed by progression to mechanized spiral decline mining. So first of all, can you tell us a bit more about the potential you're seeing here at Prospect 3, and what the rocks are telling you, what you need to do next to advance this project?
So the thing I need to clarify first is about the open pit mining. So what we said in the RNS is it's actually selective open pit mining that we're looking at. What we were hoping to demonstrate is that we have these parallel reefs, these parallel shear zones, which represent our primary target. Now, our guys have been looking at those, and you have in between that what's called the stockwork. If you're looking to do a large-scale open pit, you need the stockwork to be carrying gold. And what we found in our results was the stockwork in this instance isn't. However, we identified 6 mineralized zones of varying commercial widths, which obviously present an excellent underground target, and we're planning to come back and do some more drilling there. But what really surprised us very positively was some of the grades that we hit on those reefs that we identified. And we're now analysing those for potential near-term production. If we can do that, obviously it'd be a big bump to us in terms of near-term cash flow. But the real prize here now, Mark, is the underground operation. What we've learned in Zimbabwe over the last 2 years is that the enormous potential there is in Zim, it really lies in the underground hard rock. And that is very much now our focus. We're working very closely with an Australian mining engineer called Craig Hatch. He's introduced us over the last 12 months to spiral decline mining, this method that they perfected in Australia for the last 30 years. And what we're now looking to do is to pioneer that in Zimbabwe.
Okay, well, let's talk about the spiral decline mining then. Can you explain what it is and why you want to bring it to Zimbabwe or pioneer it, as you said?
Yeah, so if you imagine a corkscrew-shaped tunnel constructed into the Earth's crust, so it's a tunnel that winds around, similar to those roads that you get going up very steep mountains. It's the very sort of same principle, but going underground. What the Australians figured out in Western Australia is that to get much more massive increases in production and efficiency and be able to mine ore bodies that were much lower grade, they figured out that by putting one of these spiral decline tunnels into the Earth's crust, taking you right up to the footwall of the outer mineralized zone that you're looking to mine, what you could actually do is then mine horizontally into the zone using air leg or mechanized methods to mine these individual mineralized shears, and then drive trucks down, blast, load the material onto the trucks, drive it up to surface. It's really pretty straightforward in terms of the overall concept. The massive advantage of that compared to traditional shaft-based mining is that shafts are incredibly expensive. They take a very long time to sink. You have to sink the shaft all the way to the bottom of where your target is as well. So there's a long lead time between commissioning the shaft or breaking ground on the shaft and actually moving into production. Whereas with this spiral decline method, you're able to get into production at the very first level because you just start mining horizontally. Better than that, where you have with a shaft, you're obviously always constrained by the two compartments, the two cabins that move the gold up and down to surface. There's only ever so much that you can take up. When you have convoys of trucks driving down and loading the ore, what the Australians have found is that you can increase production by a factor of 10. What they're doing in Australia is really quite incredible. The more we've learned about this, there are some mines out there that are going down to 1.8 kilometers vertical depth, taking 60-ton trucks that deep underground and pulling ore up at about 1.8 grams a ton. And they're doing thousands of tons a day in individual mines. And at the moment, this hasn't really been done in Zimbabwe. So we're looking to pioneer this method, and we believe it's going to be the key that unlocks this country's enormous potential as a world-class gold setting.
Okay, so it's a spiral that declines like a road, an underground road. Yeah. Okay. And exactly. I guess that the ground has to support the ability to do that.
It's a very good question. So yeah, exactly. So we are actually on one of our targets, not on Prospect 3. We are about to start what's called geotech drilling. So we're going to be drilling a number of holes to test the competency of the rock to be able to support the first spiral decline. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That's a vital prerequisite. You have to engineer the tunnel so they're safe.
Okay, and just on your selective open pit that you said, so just to explain that. So that's not having a full open pit, but like little small ones, or
a series of smaller pits which we'll excavate out. Very, very straightforward mining. Put that straight down to our production plant, which is half a kilometre away.
Okay, good. So will the plan to be to do that first, and that gets you cash flow in, and then at the same time advance this spiral decline?
Exactly. Okay. We're actually looking at a number of different options because of the nature of our financing. We're in a very, very strong position. So we're looking at introducing a number of production plants into our ground to get our production up. We're calling this phase of the commercial development pilot production. So by the end of this year, we want to be in the position where we can produce about 300 tons a day. That's still very small compared to where we want to get to. But the key thing about our model is that we're looking to pay for our development from next year onwards out of cash flow primarily. Okay. So that's going to be the key sort of distinguishing factor for Kavango as we move forward.
Okay, I know you like a bit of a challenge, Ben. I know I've spoken to you for a while. You like to be ambitious. Is there a risk involved with this spiral decline? If it's not, I mean, you say it's tested in Australia, but what are the risks involved here?
Honestly, from an engineering perspective, this is engineering ABCs. I mean, we're looking at a production plant of 200 tons a day and a 4.5 meter by 4.5 meter tunnel. This stuff really is engineering-wise very, very simple. We're in talks with a number of candidates to join us as general manager. I'm hoping in the very near future to be able to announce who we've selected. That's going to be a very exciting appointment. We think we found ourselves a Premier League striker to come and join our championship side with promotion aspirations. But we've got a rock star, I'm hoping, lined up very soon to join us, who will be taking this over for us. One of the things that we found with Kavango is that so much of this company has been a learning experience for everybody. And, being completely frank, we've made mistakes along the way. For this next phase of development with the backing that we have, with this time, we're actually going to look to recruit the best possible person we can into this role to take the mining side forward.
Okay. So just paint the picture, if you can, for us on the ground. What does it look like? What's going on? What's really happening? I know you're not there. You'll be tomorrow. But you probably have an idea, if you can try and describe to us what the latest is.
So we've got about 140 people now working for us.
Oh, wow.
And it's a hive of activity. We've really scaled up. We've been mining since March last year. We produced 1.9 kilos of gold in April this year. April just gone. So our gold production has gone up pretty significantly. We've been really building up our mining competency. We have our field camp where our exploration team is based. We've been obviously doing a huge amount of drilling both at Hillside and at Nara. We're considering what to do about the Nara option. That's coming up very soon for exercise. And yeah, it really is sort of all systems go. Hopefully at some point you'll be able to come down and visit us. And I think we've taken quite a few people down to site now, and one of the common comments from everybody is they really are amazed at just quite how much is going on, the industry and the effort and the creativity that everybody's putting into our business. It's a very, very exciting place to work. And you've got to remember as well, Mark, we only set the company up in Zimbabwe in July 2023. So in less than 2 years, with everything that we've achieved, the team that we built down there have moved mountains, and I really couldn't be more proud of them, and I can't wait to get back down.
Good. Okay. And is the plan still to bring Prospect 3 and 4 into production over the next 18 months?
And 1 and Nara.
Right. Okay. So that's 4.
4. Yep. No, we're not messing around with this, Mark. We've our goal is to build a 10 million ounce gold camp. We want to build ultimately a tier 1 business. I don't think many people in the market really believe us. It just sounds like the usual sort of puff and spin, and I can understand why there's skepticism, because frankly, there's been so little genuine success on the London market. I don't think the London market really knows what success even looks like anymore. I think it's lost sight of it. So for a startup like us to come through and be achieving what we are in Zimbabwe of all countries, I can understand the skepticism. So from my point of view, if I'm honest, I've got a bit bored talking to the market. We've raised our money. We've got extremely strong backing from our shareholders. They can see the progress we've made. Bullock and Sagra came and spent a week with us at the end of March, and he went away. Bearing in mind, he spent his entire career, built a multi-billion-pound business empire across Africa, and he was blown away by what he saw. One of the main comments he said is that he couldn't believe how well educated the local population is. He says of all the African countries he's been to, he's never encountered anything like he encountered in Zimbabwe. This really is a fantastic environment to work in. So I'm really looking forward to what we achieve over the next 18 months. I know we've talked about a 200 ton a day plant, and I think some people have got a little bit fixated on that, thinking that's what our ambition is. It's just proof of concept at this stage. We're just showing that our team can deliver this, that we can bring this into production successfully. And my ambition for the company over the next couple of years is for us to perform like a tech startup in terms of our earnings growth, with what we've already demonstrated on the ground, and with this method of mining that we're looking to pioneer. We've got a very, very exciting future ahead of us.
Okay. Well, that's ambitious. Yeah, you want to build a 10 million ounce gold camp. Okay, great. Can you just take us through? So the company is it's selling gold now. It's producing cash now. Yes. So can you just take us through? Well, first of all, just on that, what can you say on that publicly? How's that going? What's the numbers?
Well, it's what I just said. We produced 1.9 kilos in April last year. I think we're going to do slightly more this month. Okay. And we look at that side of things is fairly modest, because we're mining. We brought one old historic shaft back into production. We've done some drilling around Prospect 1. That's where we're producing at the moment. We're going to have some pretty interesting results coming out on Prospect 1 as well in the near future as well. Okay. So watch this space there.
Okay. So you've got small scale production, but you're backed by, you've got the funding there for the bigger picture stuff. So the plan.
At the moment, our current, sorry to interrupt. So I mean, in terms of our cash position, following the Comerton investment, we've got getting on for 7.5 million quid. So yeah, we really are cashed up. The business is in very, very strong shape.
Okay, good to hear. So can you take us through the plan then, or the critical path, let's say, the critical pathway to achieve what you say in 18 months?
So our primary objective is to manufacture and import the 200 ton a day processing plant. At the end of last year, we committed to that course of action. We then set out to drill Prospects 3 and Prospects 4. And the investment stage gate was to decide which of those prospects we take the 200 ton a day plant to. We're now waiting on the final results to come in from Prospect 4. I'm expecting those any day now, and for us to be able to put an announcement out in the near future. I can say that we will be making a clear decision on which of the prospects to mine. We are also about to commission the plant as well. So we initiated the design of the plant back in March. That's now all been done. We've done a lot of the met testing. We've got results to put out on that too as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to put in our first spiral decline that we're going to call an exploration decline. We're going to sink that to between 60 to 100 meters vertical depth. Once we've sunk that, we're then going to drill out a resource from underground. Rather than try and drill it from surface and go through the sort of feasibility study route in a sort of conventional way, we want to move much faster than that. We're confident that the results we've got so far will mean that when we take that exploration decline down, we'll be able to drill out enough ounces to give us at least 3 years of production on the 200 ton a day plant to make that investment decision. And of course, because we've already put the decline down there, assuming those results come in, we'll be able to move straight into production. If that doesn't work out for whatever reason, if something goes disastrously wrong, it's mining, you never know, Mother Nature can be a bit of a bitch, unfortunately. We have plenty of reserve options. So we'll then have the other prospect to go back to, plus the potential for this selective open pit mining I've talked about. Plus, we've also got Prospect 1. Plus, we've also got some very interesting results from Nara as well that we're looking to put out in the not too distant future as well. So there is a lot of optionality for our plan, but our main focus is getting this 200 ton a day plant into production Q1 next year. By that point, if we've got a head grade of around about 3 grams a ton, we'll be producing about 14 kilos of gold a month. And remember, this is a 100% owned project, Mark. We funded all of this with equity, with no debt to service. From that point, we as a business fly.
Okay. It's a very interesting and different way to. I was thinking, where's the resource? Where's the DFS? But basically, you've said you're going to sink the shaft and then look to do it from down rather than on the surface.
Exactly. It's pretty ballsy exploration, but everything that we're doing down there is that way. I mean, we're in Zimbabwe. It's not a country for the faint of heart. One of the sayings I keep hearing down there is Africa's not for sissies. I love that. And we've really embraced that attitude with Kavango. We're really going for it.
Well, I know you moved down there specifically to focus on this, so it's not like you're doing it from a distance. I know there's a lot of people down there who work with you and around you. So yeah, I do need to get down there and sort of get a sense of what it's like. You said 140 people. I mean, doing the spiral, I mean, it's going to cost more presumably than traditional drilling to get the resource.
Not so much more. I mean, we're looking at around about if we do about 60 meters, we're looking at about 420 advanced meters, costing us in the region of about $1 million to be able to think that. Of course, when we're actually at the ore body phase, we're basically doing drilling for production at this stage. So although it does cost some more up front, what it will save us, which in this business is the most important asset we have, is time. So if you do things sequentially, as a lot of other companies do, where they just play for time, you end up running out of runway. Our plan is all predicated upon getting this thing into production as quickly as we can. We've done a lot of work with Craig on what we're calling a TEA study. So it's going to be a technical economic assessment. We're going to look to publish our first TEA very quickly after we announce our results. So if you look at the conventional approach, people will put drill results out, then they'll do more drilling, they'll do a resource statement, then they'll start working on the sort of pre-feasibility study. This process can take you 18 months to 2 years. It's my ambition that within 2 months of putting out our drilling results, we'll have the TEA and we will have broken ground as well on the spiral decline.
Okay. It's a really interesting sort of way of going it. I'm going to explore this a little bit just because it's completely new, probably to investors as well. So are you limiting yourself to one particular area then with that spiral decline? Because of course, if you're drilling, you can go over kilometers, really, can't you? Are you limiting yourself? Good question.
Because so with the spiral declines, they have, if you consider, let's say you've got 2 kilometers of strike, a single spiral decline can typically cover about 400 meters of strike. The reason for that is safe ventilation. So if you put your tunnel in, the ventilation tubes, they can go about 200 meters either side to be able to keep the air fresh, because obviously if you've got vehicles going underground, fumes can build up. You have to have a safe working environment. So as a general rule of thumb, we're working on the basis that let's just say we do hit 2 kilometers of strike, we would put 5 declines into that 2 kilometers, subject to the various studies. So our plan is, with this first decline, to prove the model, prove we can do this, and then for all of our other projects, we're going to be looking to put the declines in on a 400 meter by 400 meter basis.
Okay.
So that's how we're going to build out the business. What we're also going to do is we're going to design the tunnel in the first instance on a 200 ton a day plant, but that it's large enough to be able to get 40 ton trucks driving into this thing. 200 tons a day, I mean, that's 5 loads in a day. It's nothing. we believe the ore body potentially could go up to 1,000, maybe even more tons a day. So we obviously have to design the tunnel to be able to handle that bandwidth for mining in the future as well.
Okay. And do you know where to site these spirals at the moment then?
We will be putting some news out in the not too distant future. We designed the drill program at Prospect 4 as an underground target, so we had that in mind. For Prospect 3, we were looking at the open pit potential, which hasn't met our expectations in terms of the overall open pit, but has surpassed our expectations with the selective open pit. But we'll need to come back to Prospect 3 to do some more drilling to make a determination on where we would put a spiral decline.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. I think that sort of sets where we are. A lot to catch up on there. I appreciate I haven't spoken to you for a while, and things have changed quite a lot, I think, since we last spoke. But I think that sets everything out. If anyone has any questions to Ben, do send them in. I think you made a football analogy earlier, Ben. Are you a fan? Because I know that match is playing right now, I believe.
I am, and I couldn't care less about this match.
Okay. That's the general theme of everyone on this tonight.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I hope they both lose. Let's put it that way.
Right. Okay. Fine. Okay. So let's bring up as a question here. I've got. Okay. I think you kind of covered this really, Nara. But yeah, I mean, maybe you can just sort of talk a bit more about that and the tailings opportunity.
Yeah, so we've got some announcements coming up on Nara in the not too distant future. The option expires at the end of June. The tailings is very much part of our thinking, although what we're really focused on is the underground potential there. You know, we started off looking at Nara as a potential open pit target. It didn't sort of live up to that. So we then came back in November and December last year, and we drilled it, looking at it from an underground perspective. And yeah, we think it's looking interesting.
Good. Okay. Thank you, Ben. What are the main political or operational risks Kavango face in Zimbabwe, and how is the company managing those to ensure project delivery?
That's an excellent question. So when I first went down to Zimbabwe, I would love to say that this was a deliberate, inspired choice, but I took the decision to focus on building the business on the ground from Bulawayo before we started to engage with anybody up in Harare. And it's turned out to be exactly the right thing to have done, because what we've done is we came into Zim, we didn't try and seek any sort of grace and favour, any sort of political connections or anything like that. We just wanted to come in and explore for mines and then develop mines. That approach has, I think, won us a lot of support locally on the ground. So we've got very strong links with the local tribal leadership, the local community, the local miners, local rural district council, local provincial mining directorate, local security services as well, some of the local churches too. So we're looking to build as strong a base on the ground as we possibly could. This then meant that when in May last year, I first ventured up to Harare and started to engage at more senior levels, I think a lot of them viewed sort of, oh, you're just another foreigner coming in, it's going to be the usual spiel, selling us a dream, and then we may or may not hear from you again. But I was actually there to tell them the story of a year's worth of experience and all the people that we'd already employed and what we'd already built on the ground. And as a result of that, I believe we've been extremely well received. We've also been very keen to promote local ownership. We think that's a very important part for resource businesses operating in these countries, that the rewards get shared, but that's also done in a way where the risks are shared as well. So the significance of the Comerton group of pension funds coming into Kavango, I cannot state enough how important that is to our business, both in terms of sharing the opportunity and hopefully one day benefiting tens of thousands of Zimbabweans, but also in terms of really establishing our credentials as a serious long-term investor in Zimbabwe. So I think a lot of the risks or perceived risks are actually just that. They are perceived risks. I'm not going to say it's a jurisdiction for the faint of heart, because it's not. You know, there are challenges down there that you do have to face up to on a fairly regular basis. But by being there, being strong on the ground, employing people the way we have, training people, invested in people, I believe that we are in a strong position.
Okay, good. I see a question, other one's popped up. Are we still on track to earn 500k free cash flow by the end of the year?
Q1 next year.
Okay, easy answer. Okay, great. Thank you, Ben. What do you think this has got ultra high? Sorry, I don't read it. What do you think has got the ultra high net worth investors, Kavango, so enthusiastic about what you're doing?
First, they've seen the geology. When we take people to come and see the Philabouzi Greenstone Belt, it's surrounded by 5 granitic intrusions, these very large hills. It's easy for us to show people what the potential is. When you understand that, geologically speaking, the contact point between the Archean greenstones and the granitic intrusions is some of the most prime ground anywhere in the world looking for gold. Once you've conceptually understood that, you just see it on the ground. You then visit our projects, you see where they are in relation. So everything we've described, they get to see sort of in person, actually see for themselves. Then they've seen the infrastructure that we've built. They've seen the mine that we've developed at Prospect 1. They see our field exploration camp. They see the drilling company that we've just completed our investment into. We'll be putting an announcement out about that very soon too. And they can see everything that we've built up. They get to meet our team. One of the things that I've always done when taking people out is I've not wanted to be one of these CEOs who's wanted to be there with the investors all the time, sort of constantly on their shoulders, trying to sort of, stage manage the message. I've just stepped back and let them talk to our team, let them talk to our geologists, let them talk to our miners, let them talk to our operational staff, our mechanic, our service staff. Just talk to the whole team and just hear what they have to say about the work that they've done. And I think that what people have seen is that the enthusiasm and the hard work from our team, that really does come across. And then, of course, the results as well. We've talked about this first mover advantage. London market hasn't believed us at all. There is nothing priced into our share price at all. But what the market has completely missed is, why do these people who've gone to such great lengths to do due diligence they have, why have they put as much money as they have into little old Kavango? And I think that answer I'm looking to hope to show the market over the next 18 months.
Okay, good. Well, thank you, Ben. Another question here. With your focus on bulk mining potential in Zimbabwe, are there any plans to acquire additional claims or projects to expand your footprint in the region?
Yes, there are. So we're focusing on the Philabouzi Greenstone Belt, and our plan is, because of some of the complications of the ownership structure in Zimbabwe and the system of what they call gold claims, consolidating a large enough land package is not a very easy thing to do. That's probably one of the main reasons that you don't have large international firms in Zim at the moment. So what we've been working on very hard over the last couple of years is building a very in-depth understanding of who owns the various projects, who the various stakeholders are, who the various players in the region. And we've got a whole pipeline of opportunities that we're planning on pursuing. And we certainly are planning on taking on more ground. But we're delighted also with what we've seen so far. We've only got 900 hectares. It's a tiny drop in the ocean in Zimbabwe. We're on one of the smaller greenstone belts. Our plan is to make that greenstone belt Kavangos. But in terms of the plan for expansion, yeah, we've got a pretty well-advanced plan. Let's put it that way.
Okay. How does Kavango plan to finance? Okay, well, I think you've covered this actually. It's pretty much covered, I think, by your investors, isn't it?
It is, but could I talk a bit about debt financing?
100%, please, yeah.
So we've funded everything so far with straight equity. We've been incredibly blessed, to be perfectly frank, with the support of the Consagra family and Pure Bond. The way that they've backed our business, they've done everything at market. It's been straight equity. When our share price has fallen, they've stuck with it. They've stuck with all the deals that we've done. We really could not have asked for more from these shells. And in fact, Mark, if you remember a couple of years ago when you interviewed Bullo, it was probably about exactly 2 years ago.
It was actually.
Show. Yeah. And Bullo came on your show and he said, look, we want to bring everyone along for the ride. They have more than honoured that. So up to this point, we've been pure equity. I think for the next phase, for getting ourselves into pilot production, that's also going to be funded by equity. I talked about our cash balance and our plans for how we're actually going to build the first mine. What I also said, however, is that it's proof of concept. At the moment, Zimbabwe features pretty much at the bottom of the list internationally for being a mining-friendly jurisdiction. To my mind, that's ridiculous from what I've experienced on the ground. However, the reality of what that means in terms of being able to secure debt financing for mines is that it's, I wouldn't say impossible, but it's exceptionally difficult. So our plan, by sticking with a 200-ton-a-day plant, is we want to show debt providers in the future that the team that we've built, both exploration and mining and operational commercial, can deliver what we said we would deliver. So when we're ready to scale up and start moving up to 1,000 tons a day, 2,000 tons a day, at that point, we'll be looking for more conventional debt financing with more conventional resource reports and the kind of stuff that, I sort of poo-pooed a little bit earlier. We do recognize that in future that will be important for us. But for now, we're just focusing on the growth phase and proving after we've proven everything else so far that we've been able to do in this country, it's now up to us to show that we can make the gold work commercially.
Okay, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think actually that ties into this next question that's coming here is why has spiral decline not been introduced in Zimbabwe at the moment, given the strong gold industry? Is it just a matter of capital constraints?
I think capital constraints is certainly one of the major reasons. There's been a huge lack of investment in Zimbabwe from lack of exploration. There's been hardly any drilling done in the last 25 years. I mean, this really is virgin ground in terms of modern exploration, but that's also filtered through to the mining as well. So capital constraints has certainly been a very important, well, sort of big inhibitor. I think the other major inhibitor is actually the historic legacy. Gold mining in Southern Africa has been done by shaft. It's the way it's always been done. So I think there is a little bit of a prevailing mindset that that's just the way it's to be done. So perhaps it takes a company like ours with a slightly different perspective to come in and show how it might be done differently. If we're successful, and I'm very confident we're going to be, but we've still got to prove that this actually works, I have absolutely no doubt that other Zimbabwean miners will follow us very quickly. It's an incredibly entrepreneurial environment. The people there are very smart. They are excellent miners. Mining is in the DNA of that country's social fabric. It really is. And I'm sure that if we are successful, others will follow suit.
Okay. Well, just finally, Ben, from me, just before we go to the roundtable discussion, you've mentioned it a few times that London's not recognising value. Maybe it's become, as you said, I think, doesn't know what a success is at the moment. It's maybe been quite a few years, actually, I think, since the last big success on London in the mining sector. What do you think you can do? The obvious answer is just carry on doing what you're doing. But
doing what we're doing. Yeah, deliver our plan, deliver the cash flow. And I think when we get to that first sort of $500,000 a month free cash flow target, that is our target for next year. And what I'm expecting is that, by that point, people actually might start to put 2 and 2 together and come up with the right answer. Because remember, we're only looking at 400 meters of strike on one of our targets. We're looking at potentially 7 kilometers of strike across our 2 project areas across the 3 main target zones. So, we've got already something that looks like it could be very big. And when we've actually proven that we can bring this into production, I think that's the critical factor in Zimbabwe. Nobody wants blue sky in Zimbabwe. They want cold, hard cash flow. And I think when we actually start to generate that, that's, I think, when people start to look at this differently.
Yeah, indeed. I do see one question that's popped up. It's KCB related. I don't know if you've got an update on the KCB.
My bad on this one. I have promised this ages ago and I haven't got round to doing it yet. We've just been so flat out this year. We've been doing some work with First Quantum. We've done some work on their drill hole and we've done some surveys over that. So that's also gone a bit slower than we would have liked. We just had to sort of be respectful of their process as well. So we've got some results that will be coming up in the not too distant future. Plus we've got those extra holes to drill. I think when Dave is ready, perhaps Mark, we could do that interview on your show, do it as a live event. So I think it'd be good to get Dave on.
100%. Yeah.
So my bad. Sorry, we haven't got round to it yet.
All right. Well, that's what this is for. This is for people to ask you questions, yeah. So yeah, exactly. Thank you, Ben. I think that's it. And we're just about on time.